Good day, ma'am. We are the Group 5, and today we're going to talk about PI method or Profitability Index method. So, what is a Profitability Index? The index or PI measures the ratio between the present value of a future cash flows and the initial investment. Index is a use for ranking investments, projects, and showing the value created. Just for instance, a profitability index of 1 indicates that the project will break even. If it is less than 1, the costs outweigh the benefits. If it is above 1, the venture should be profitable. Example, if a project costs $1,000 and will return $1,200, so it's a go. Profitability Index or PI offers a way to measure the balance between an initial investment and its present value of future cash flows. We have 5 uses of Profitability Index. The first uses is measuring profitability. This is to assess a business ability to generate problems or profits from its assets or investments, indicating how effective a company is utilizing its resources. Second is understanding influencing factors. This is to help identify and understand the factors that impact a company's profitability. And third is investment decisions. Investors use profitability index to inform their decisions on which companies to invest in, comparing financial metrics like price to earning ratios.
Good day, ma'am. I am Ryan Di Castillo and I will be continuing our report. So, my topic is about opportunity cost comparison. So, it is an assess and evaluating the opportunity cost of different investments project, helping investors choose the most advantageous option. So, not example today. So, first is if you buy the video game, the opportunity cost will be the pair of shoes that you can buy. And if you choose naman the shoes, the opportunity cost is the video game. So, basically, it is the cost of making one choice over another. And it helps you weigh your options and decide what most important to you. Next is multiple project comparison. So, particularly, it is useful when considering multiple projects, allowing investors to assess whether their investment decisions are sound. So, imagine you have several projects you're working on, like building a house, baking a cake, and writing a book. Multiple project comparison is like looking at this project side by side to say how they are different. You might compare the time, resources, importance, and progress. By comparing projects, you can decide which one to focus on first, how to best use your time, and how to make sure everything gets done. Key takeaways is that the profitability index measures the attractiveness of a project or investment. The PI is calculated by dividing the present value of future expected cash flow by initial investment amount in the project. So, higher the PI, the more the project is deemed a good investment. And that's all, ma'am. Thank you.
The PI is calculated by dividing the present value of future expected cash flows by initial investment amount in the project. The higher the PI, the more the project is deemed a good investment. And here are the formulas to calculate PI. And here how to calculate PI. Calculating PI, the profitability index is the ratio between the present value of the future expected cash flows and the initial amount invested in the project. A higher PI means that a project will be considered more attractive.
So in calculating our profitability index, we have here 2 different examples. So example number 1, Green Thumb Farm is considering 3 different options for expanding its operation. So option A, investing in a new irrigation system. Option B, expanding its greenhouse facilities. Option C, purchasing new harvesting equipment.
So in the next slide, presented here are the 5-year present value for the future cash flows of each of the option and their initial investments. So before we can decide unsa nga option ang atong pilion, we should first calculate its profitability index. So, in calculating this example, we're going to use katong first example which is presented in the previous slides. So, profitability index is equal to the total PV of future cash flows divided by the cash investment or initial investment. So, in option A, we have a total PV of $15,000 divided by the $10,000 initial investment of option A. So, we get a profitability index of 1.5. In option B, we have a total PV of $35,000 divided by the $25,000 of initial investment. So we get a 1.4 in profitability index. In option C, we have a $20,000 total PV and then divided by the $15,000 na initial investment. So we have here a 1.33 profitability index. So therefore, we are going to choose option A. Based on our calculation, siya ang pinakataas nga profitability index compared sa B o C nga 1.4 lang o 1.33. It means that for every dollar we invest in a project, the present value for the future cash flows is expected to be 1.5. So let's have another example. So example number 2, Sunshine Orchard, a fruit farming business, is considering 2 expansion options. Option A, installing a new automated sorting and packing lines. Option B, expanding their existing orchard by purchasing adjacent land. So we can see in the given that we're not given those all cash flows. We're just given the NPV and the initial investment. So in order to solve this example, we are going to use the second formula, which is the PI is equals to the NPV plus initial investment divided by the initial investment. So in option A, we have a 3,500 nga NPV, then plus 2,500 initial investment divided by the 2,500 initial investment again. So we have a profitability index of 2.4. And then in option B, we have a 4,000 NPV plus 3,000 initial investment divided by the initial investment na 3,000 again. So we have a profitability index of 2.33. And then there is another formula in order to solve this, that is the NPV divided by the initial investment plus 1. But if you are going to use that formula, it should give us the exact same answer in using the previous formula katong NPV plus initial investment divided by the initial investment. So since the option A has the higher profitability index of 2.4 compared to B nga kuan ra 2.33, so we are going to choose option A.
Hi everyone, I am Jed and I will be discussing its advantage and disadvantage. Advantage number 1, impact on entity value. The PI quantifies the expected increase of value from a project, allowing decision makers to assess its potential contribution to the overall worth of the entity. This insight helps prioritize investment that will enhance shareholder value. Second, its simplicity. The PI is straightforward to calculate and interpret, making it accessible for stakeholders at all levels of financial expertise. This ease of understanding encourages its use in decision-making process. Third, time value of money. By factoring in time value of money, the PI ensures that future cash flows are appropriately discounted, providing a more accurate measure of an investment present worth. This approach highlights the true profitability of a project over time. Fourth, comprehensive cash flow consideration. The PI evaluates all relevant cash flow associated with the project, including initial investment and future returns, which lead to more complete assessment of financial viability. This helps avoid overlooking its critical financial aspects. And fifth, project ranking. The PA allows for ranking of multiple projects based on value per unit of investment, enabling firms to allocate resources efficiently and effectively. This prioritization helps in selecting the most promising projects when capital is limited. For its disadvantage, first, lack of additional insights. The PI does not account for other important factors such as the useful life of a project or the specific context of mutually exclusive project, which can lead to oversimplified decision making and potentially overlook critical project details. This limitation makes it inadequate as a standalone metric for comprehensive project evaluation. Second is dependence on future predictions. The accuracy of PI is heavily reliant on forecasting future cash flows, which can be uncertain and subjected to internal and external factors such as market fluctuation, economic conditions, and managerial assumptions. This reliance can introduce significant risk if forecasts proved to be overly optimistic or pessimistic. And last but not the least, cost of capital estimation. To effectively discount cash flows, the PI requires an estimation of cost of capital, which can be challenging to determine accurately. Misestimating the cost of capital can lead to flawed calculation and potentially misguide investment decisions.
So to continue the discussions, no, the interpreting of profitability index. The profitability index helps ranks project because it lets investor quantify the value creates per each investment unit. A profitability index of 1.0 is the lowest acceptable measure on the index. So mathematically, a value lower than 1 means the project present value is less than the initial investment. So it means no the profitability index or the PI measures how much value is create for every unit of investment. So the profitability index of 1.0 or higher means the project is worthwhile as the benefit or present value or outweigh the cost. If it is below 1.0, the project should be rejected because its costs are higher than its value. Like for example, you invest 100,000 in a business. So ang atuang expected future cash inflows, which is today's value, which is 120,000. So in short, the profitability index need to present value, you need to present value divided by initial investment. So it means a profitability index equals to 120, which is 120,000, which is mo na to ang present value divided by 100,000. So it equals to 1.2 since the profitability index or PI is greater than 1.0, so this project is a good investment. So it means it creates it more value than it costs. Also, no, the profitability index is calculation that cannot be negative. They must be converted to positive figures. So, mo tatong example ganyan, no, that the calculations is greater than 1.0 is it indicates that the future anticipated that the discounted cash inflows are greater than the anticipated discounted cash outflow.
The profitability index is a tool used to evaluate the potential of investment project. When the PI is less than 1.0, the cash inflows are less than the cash outflow. This means that the project will likely to result in a loss and should not be accepted. The PI measures how much value the project generates for each unit of investment. However, it does not consider the size of the project. Large projects with big cash inflow might have lower PI because of their profit margin are smaller. Example, naka-initial nga investment ka 100,000. Then, ang imong present value of cash inflow is 80,000. So, imong PI is equals to 80,000 divided by 100,000 is equal to 0.8 less than siya sa 1.0. Since PI is below 1 man siya, the project will result in a net loss, so it should be not be accepted.
Interpreting the profitability index. The PI is also called the benefit-take-cost ratio. Although some projects result in higher net present values, Project may be passed over because they do not have the highest profitability index and do not represent the most beneficial usage of company assets. So, the PI is also known as the benefit-cost ratio. It is a financial metric used to evaluate the profitability of potential investments or project. So how it works? The company compares the future value of your investments or what you'll earn to the present value what you're putting in. So the interpretation, PI greater than 1, the project is expected to be profitable. PI less than 1, the project is not likely to be profitable. PI equals to 1, the project is expected to break even. How do companies use the profitability index? The profitability index helps compare and contrast investments and projects a company is considering. The PI is especially useful when a company has limited resources and can't pursue all potential projects. The index can be used alongside other metrics to determine the best investments. So how does it work? In comparing projects, when you have multiple investment options, the PI helps you rank them based on their potential profitability. In resource allocation, if you're short on cash, the PI can help you prioritize the projects that offer the highest return on investment. And lastly, in decision making, it is useful by considering the PI alongside other factors. You can make informed decisions about where to invest your money.
What is good profitability index? Generally, the higher the PI, the better. A profitability index greater than 1.0 is often considered a good investment, as the expected return is higher than the initial investment. The project with the highest PI may be the best.